What was I saying again? This is much clearer. Yeah, so the new year is the time when a lot of people start to consider their approach and start to think of better ways to approach the year. And why is smiling?
Think of the approach and better ways to approach
Are they reason to? Well, I didn't get the word.
it.
Yeah, but at least I was silent instead of saying yeah. Okay, so but one thing I've actually come to discover is that, do you know that personally I don't set goals for myself when it comes to the new year? I don't set goals. I set goals for the business, but I don't set goals for myself. So take for example now, financial goal. Let's say I tell myself I want to make $10 million this year. Why? It's hard for me to justify. Do you understand? It's very hard for me to justify why I want to make a certain amount of money, because I'm pretty like low budget. Like, I don't have to live on so much. Do you get? And if I say that that's my goal and I have to throw my energy, effort, everything behind that, there has to be a justification for me to put all of my energy in that direction. Do you get? So it can be very difficult for me to like justify setting goals like that. Instead, what I just look forward to is I have enough self-awareness to know who I am and what I'm capable of, and how much less I am from what I'm actually supposed to be. And so that's the gap I'm constantly trying to close. So, and it boils down to like the habits I've been able to cultivate and the systems I've built around myself. So those are the two important things. When it comes to business as well, there are patterns of doing things, there are systems and processes. But for a business, you can have a goal. For instance, you can think of, okay, in the case where, okay, I want to be able to produce this quality of work. You're like, okay, it means I need this quality of people. It means, what does it require to keep this quality of people? Would influence several other things. So those things can now start to help you benchmark, what you need to do, like at the minimum. And on top of that, you can now say, okay, in the next 5 years, this is what I want to be able to do with my business. How can I start preparing for that now? Do you understand? So you can now start to think of that in terms of the resources you need to gather. You can start to think of it in terms of the level at which your brand should be, the kind of exposure or reach you need to have now, the goodwill you need to have with people. You can start working towards the future very intentionally with a business, because with a business, apart from making profits, which I don't think is the sole purpose of a business from my own point of view, but profit is a vehicle, like money is a vehicle, but there's a destination. So the destination is more important than the means, but if the means for transportation is not there, it doesn't matter whether how beautiful your destination is. Do you get it? That's why I think a business needs to be healthy, but the financial health necessarily of the business is not the most important thing. When it comes to personal pursuits, systems and processes, basically habits and systems. So the way I think of it is, for instance, how can I grow spiritually? What are things that I could improve about my spiritual life this year? Routine. It's just routine for the most part. What you do in, day out, and who are the people that you have. When the things, routine, habits, and the people. So the people serves as a form of accountability for you and motivation as well. So for if you are surrounded by people that are performing at a particular level, by nature you would want to be like them naturally. And if they also happen to be people a little ahead of you, they would also inspire you, because you'll be like, okay, for me to feel comfortable within this group, it will make sense for me to be able to like perform at their level as well. Yeah, so once you have routine, habits, and people, and the last thing is money. So you need to commit finance to support some of your habits and routine. There are some habits you can't cultivate because you are busy chasing money, right? So sometimes money can be a filler, can help you occupy space to prioritize some more important things in your life. And sometimes, for instance, if you want to improve, let's say, in terms of your general wisdom or capacity, your understanding of the world, you need to. There's information that is this, and there's information that is this that has been worked on. So, for instance, imagine if you sit down with a billionaire and you want to talk to him about maybe how to build a successful business or how to build wealth. There is some things you can. I actually believe in the idea of paid mentorship, like paying someone to mentor you, because you are immediately deriving insights and wisdom actually to achieve the same result that they've achieved. Yes, so money can actually help you develop yourself personally and fast track your personal development. So there's money, there's people that serves as motivation and accountability for you, and then there's your routine. Routine is what you do every other day, every other week. And your habit is just self-conditioning. What you have repeated enough to the point where you don't have to use so much brain power or consciousness to repeat.
How do you differentiate between routine and habits?
So routine is a very good example of routine is what do you do when you wake up?
Brush my teeth.
Okay, so I think they are closely related, but off the top of my head, I think routine has more of like set time. You have specific time when you do specific things during the day or during the week, during each day or each week. But habits is just your conditioning. It's just brushing your teeth is not a habit. You can habituate brushing your teeth, but it's not a habit. But picking up your phone in the morning, you don't need to set a time to do that. If it's a habit, every single time you wake up, first thing in the morning, you pick up your phone and start to scroll. That's more of a habit. That's because you've conditioned yourself that that's one of the most important things you need to do as soon as you wake up. Do you get?
By definition,
Mm.
routine is a sequence of actions regularly followed, while a habit is a settled or regular tendency or practice, usually one that is hard to give up.
Exactly. That's why I said self-conditioning. Yeah. So once you are conditioned to act in a certain way, you do that. It's just the way there is habit of saying maybe when you're talking, but so those they are very closely related anyways, but they are different. Yeah. So once you can figure out your habits, like for instance your habits, your routine, how you eat, when you eat, when you sleep, when you exercise, how long you talk to people, how long you entertain yourself or like just do trivial things, and your habit around how you walk, all those things. So, and personally I also feel that Personal development is more important than career development, because the quality of yourself is what you bring to every other interactions you have. Your relationships as well. Relationship is basically dependent on the quality of people in it. Yes. So it's the same thing with a business. That's why it's called a company. So if you want to build a great business, it's building a great company of people. Do you get? And when you say a great company, is because great people have been able to come together under great leadership. Yes. So that's how that works. So instead of setting a goal, most of us, the first and most important thing is to have clarity. Yeah. You have clarity about who you are trying to become, which is more important than what you are trying to accomplish. Because who you are trying to become is a journey, is a life's journey compared to what you are trying to achieve. Because once upon a time, everything you wanted to achieve was score A's in WAEC, and like that's so much not important to you right now. But who you are trying to become dictates, what you should even pursue in the first place. Yeah. So if you can gain clarity on who you want to become, then the habits, the routine, and the company and the behavior of that person would need to start. You need to cultivate that now. Do you get? And so, of course, you also put yourself in a situation where you can express, you can let that person you are trying to become find expression, basically. So clarity is more important than setting goals. When you have clarity on who you want to become, you can start to focus on what knowledge you need to have, what kind of people you need to be around, what kind of information and skill you need to also develop. And those things would naturally put you in a position where you just fit. So for instance, I believe in the idea of flow. I believe in the idea of fit as well. That's a more, I would say, a passive approach to life, but is a less aggressive approach to life. Less aggressive in the sense of, oh, I need to make $1 billion right now. I mean, it works just the way life works. Whatever you think, you can actually manifest. I mean, as a man thinketh he is. So some people will pursue money and they would actually get it. But the only question is, at what expense? Do you understand? And at a level where you actually get money can become a blocking stone to who you need to become, who you need to become. Do you get? So clarity is actually one of the most valuable things. Clarity followed by action. So you are clear on who you want to become. You start developing the habits, the behavior, the mentality of who that person needs to be, and you start correcting you start self-correcting based on the gap that exists between who you are right now and who you want to be. And then by nature, you just find yourself fit into certain situation. You just find things happening in your life in a certain way that just seems effortless. Do you get? Because I also believe life is energy. It's an energy game. If you have goodwill towards people or certain people, there are certain things that will come to you almost naturally as well. So I'll give you a good example now. I think the reason why billionaires are billionaires is because they're the best people to have the resources to take the world further than where it is. So, for instance, the person that spends more time thinking about the future is the kind of person that should have the most resource, because that's the kind of person that can make it happen and take us to the future, compared to someone who doesn't have any value to add. That kind of person having billions in their hand would actually wreak havoc. Yeah, so I feel like the reason why people make money, a lot of money, the reason why people become famous, all of those things are as a result of who they've become. And I think the most relatable way to demonstrate that right now is influencer culture. For instance, who you become attract a certain group of people. The certain group of people you attract a certain group of people who want to attract this group of people. So it's all about attraction. I believe in attraction more than pursuit. I think the same thing works for women anyways. It's better to attract a woman who can by herself imagine how amazing it would be to be with you, than to endlessly just pursue someone who you think, who you even believe is out of your league. It puts you in a very weird position where you just feel very out of place. You act out of character. You just do things that you naturally know you shouldn't do. But when you are in an environment where you're comfortable, because that person's attraction is not what validates you. That person's attraction to you just further confirms what you already know that you are. And so you're at ease and things flow better. It's just weird how life works that way. And that's part of the reasons why I don't believe in chasing money. Yeah, I can actually attract money. There are people you can meet today, and the type of money you attract will change just because you met them. And there are positions you can be. Taking pictures with certain people can change your life. Do you get? So I like to approach life from that angle, and that's one of the reasons why I love branding, because that's exactly the idea of branding, is the ability to create something compelling that just draws people, and it draws people from a distance and it keeps them. Because I always say attention is very easy to get. It's only value that keeps people's attention, and then even extracts their loyalty out of it. And that's the business we are in, is to make businesses from a distance look attractive, look compelling, and make people come closer. And then when they come closer, they see that there's even more value to actually benefit, and then you stay. So that's simply what our job is. You're just trying to make a brand more likable, more relatable, by creating signals and association that translates in the human mind as in a certain way. It's as simple as that. And I think that's actually how everything in life works, if you actually think about it. The reason why rich people like rich people is, it's not because if you are rich too, you probably behave the same way. The reason why poor people hang out with poor people is the same way. Is because you attract what you are like, which is kind of against this the scientific.
Yeah, so there's the on the one hand opposites attract, but then birds of the same feather flock together. Sometimes that I think.
So I think the idea of opposite attracts is it makes sense in that
Like the feet,
mm,
opposite sides.
well, yes, there's yin yang, there's complement, there's balance. Yes, there's balance when opposite attract. So there's something about you that would, I think it works both ways. For instance, if you think of that yin yang symbol, there's yang in yin and there's yin in yang. Yeah, so there's some likeness even when they are opposite values. Yeah, there's some likeness. So yeah, life is just about attraction. So you can actually work from that point of view as to, okay, how can I attract this? I want this. So how can I attract this to myself? I think that's is a much better way to approach life than. So when we now take that back to, like, how to prepare yourself for a new year, being able to identify what you actually want to attract into your life. That's part of the clarity that I talked about. Being able to identify that, okay, I want this. These are the type of people I want around me. This is the kind of autonomy I want in my life. This is the kind of freedom I want in my life. This is what I don't want. And that's also a very important part of clarity, knowing exactly what you don't want. Because there are some very rich people that can't say what they truly think, and that's very sad. And that's probably because they've made some compromise in the process. And for some people, the compromise they made is absolutely fine by them, but some people, that's not the case for everybody. So it's interesting to be able to have clarity about what you want and then think of becoming the person that attracts what you want. And that's supposed to be a year in, year out event. Like, it's not supposed to be a 1 year run. It's a life journey, because who you want to become keeps evolving. The more understanding you have about yourself and the world that you live in and the part that you play, who you want to be will just continue to evolve in a more refined sense. Yeah, so I think that's a better way to approach the year. But this year, I actually want to challenge myself. I want to make over $1 million, maybe $10 million, in fact. And this is the only reason why. This is my only justification. I don't need the money. Of course, a need for it would always be there. There would always be something to do with it that is useful. But I'm not in need of it. But the reason why I want to attempt to make that much money this year is because I have a philosophy of, I have the capacity, or in my head I have billions of dollars. I actually really believe it, that I can create value that is worth that, or even more. So if that is true, I want to put it to test this year. Yeah, I want to challenge myself. Okay, you have billions worth of ideas or inputs to make in the world. Okay, let's try to cash out on this year. Let's just cash out 10M. Let's see. Let's just test it out. And that's interesting, because that's going to stretch me. Like, whatever is going to make that possible is going to stretch me. And there are many ways that can happen. That can happen through one deal. Interesting. Like, I may not even have to it can happen through one deal. It can happen in all sort of ways. Because on one hand as well, I also believe in value exchange. I don't believe in just doubling money, multiplying. I mean, at some point you have to be smart. Money has to be able to work for you. I get that. But I believe in being able to create actual value, because when you double and double and double money and you have a lot of it, you will die not spending everything. But if you're able to like create as much value as you possibly can, even when you die, you still be able to like, you know, be of benefit to the world. And I think that's, I place that in a higher place, you know, compared to like having so much money in the bank. Yeah. So that's my rant for today.
Right.
Yeah.
So